Hey everyone, Jeff Mackerlin here. Today I've got my good friend Matt Schofield with me.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about 5 ways that you can get into owning a vintage instrument if you really want to. Coming in at number 5 is know what you want. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a minefield out there, and we're talking about a huge range of possible expenditure, from... So certainly for me, I've been lucky enough to happen across this one recently. I knew that I wanted something that wasn't original finish, that I could take out and be on and travel with and not worry that much. So I knew what I was looking for in terms of, there was a fairly broad range of possibilities in terms of the year of, wanting another old Strat. That was open. But I knew I wanted something that, I could refret. It wasn't the original finish, that I could kind of get where I wanted it to get without worrying about it being all original. So that was what I wanted. Maybe you want like something that's pristine to hang on the wall, not the kind of thing that's of use to me.
Or me.
But that's okay too, you know?
Yeah.
But you got to know what you're going for, and to narrow it down. Otherwise, it's just an impossible task to find it.
So if you're looking to get into one on the cheap, I say cheap, that's all relative, is look for something that we call a player's guitar, which is going to be refin, it's been refretted. Hopefully, to me, the main things, I love the original pots and original pickups, but if the wiring's been messed with a little bit, that's okay, as long as all the original parts are there, is something to look for. If you have changed pickups, that's going to be reflected in the price, but very often it is also just the wood that we're looking for.
It is.
And there's lots of great pickup manufacturers. But if you're going for it, I always try to look for as much original parts on the guitar as humanly possible. That, to me, the electronics, I don't so much mind if there's changed tuners. I do want the original pickups, and I really want the original pots.
Yeah, the pots are something that makes way more of a difference than even I wanted to accept. But
I know.
They do. Particularly coupled with the original pickups. It sort of all comes together to make the right voice on the guitar. So yeah, I was looking for that. I didn't care about the finish.
I'm the same. Number 4, connections. One of the most important things if you want to get into the vintage instrument world, and people ask me, well, how did you get that? I know a lot of people. We know a lot of people by just being in the business. Now, you don't have to be us, like professional guitar players out doing it. You just make relationships with stores. Don't be the tire kicker annoying guy.
Yeah, let them know what you're looking for, and what kind of range you're working in, and tell them to give you a shout if they see it,
Yeah, and that's how most really the best things that I've acquired came my way. It's just through connections, whether it's through a store or you go to like guitar shows where they're doing vintage stuff, you make friends with people. The thing about the vintage market is people are really into trading too.
Yes.
So definitely. They might trade you, and this is something we'll talk about a little later, 4 guitars that you have, and for one vintage guitar that might be a player.
Yeah, and this guitar came via my friend Pete in Florida, who I know from seeing his band playing locally where I live. He plays in a local band, but I'd always wander into the gig and he'd be playing 54 Strat or a old Gibson or something, and he's got an old Fender amp, and I'm like, okay, this guy's got cool stuff. So we got talking because of that. Turns out he knows people that know people, and then this ended up coming my way via him. But it was chatting with the guy at the gig who was playing the kind of stuff that I like.
Right. So like anything in life, it's largely about connections.
And I will say, just to add to that, this came with a finish that wasn't good. It wasn't a good color red. So through Pete, I also met Marty, who's now my luthier repairman friend locally to me, and he did the work getting this to where I wanted it to, which allowed me to get into this guitar, basically. So all the connections led to this final result of me being very happy with this now.
Right. So it takes a village. You know what I mean?
Does.
It does. It really, really does. Yes, you can have a relationship with a good store and go in and pay what X amount of dollars for that guitar. If you're buying it directly through a store, you're going to pay more money because that's, the store has to make their profit and all that. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's a great way to go if it's a trustworthy store. The vintage guitar world is strewn with not good people.
Yeah, sharks and
refins, and very often with Fenders especially, like, this neck could not be the original body and neck, or they take parts because
easy to lump something together, and it's so, which pays to be informed, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's on your list
as well. It is on our
Jeff.
list next. Yeah. If you find something, keep it quiet.
Yeah, it's a quick moving market, and if something is even close to being a good deal, everybody knows it's a good deal.
Yeah.
And I've seen it very recently. It's gone before you even get a second look,
Yeah.
So you kind of want to be careful with your excitement.
Yeah, it's just kind of like anything, and it's a very, very small market, and you come across all the same people after a while. It's like anything. So the vintage guitar market, there's a number of major players, and if something's out there floating out as a deal, whether it's in pristine condition or a player, it gets out fast. So kind of keep it quiet. So that's another good life lesson.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Quick interruption. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, as it helps me out quite a bit. Also, I have a free ebook called Arpeggios Unlocked, and it comes with a free mini course to help you understand how to work through your arpeggios. Nice, methodical way, and it's free. So check out the link above or below. While you're there, also check out all my other courses available at JM Guitar Lessons using the link above or below. Now back to the video. Number 2 is be informed. So what do you mean by that?
You gotta educate yourself on things. There's lots of little details to know about when you get into the vintage market, so that you're not getting scammed or ripped off with stuff that isn't original, or at least you can know what is original and what's not, and whether that works for you. So this guitar, other than the body finish, is largely original, not the volume pot. Found an original volume pot to go in because
through
they
your
make
connections.
It through my connections. It's the same thing. But we checked it out, and there's all kinds of little things that even with the previous not very nice refinish that it had, the nail holes were there, just little things to know about. There's a great website that I can't think of the name of right now, but for vintage Fenders, it tells you everything you need to know. It's been online for 20 years.
I'll put the link down below.
From everything from the details of the case from each year, it gives you a year by year breakdown of the features. The tuner's single line, double line. Lots of little things to check. And sometimes it's worth taking the tuners off, to see underneath, because these holes have often been routed out further, and they've got changed bushing. They're just the little stuff that can tell you exactly what you're dealing with. You've got to educate yourself, otherwise you're kind of really at risk of
and not all vintage guitar stores are sharks. Very often they make a mistake as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because some of the repairs or the things that have been done to the guitar are really, really good, and unless you really examine the guitar. So now that brings us back to, in that one sense, if you're talking about a player like this was. My 68, unfortunately, is not here right now. It's getting worked on, but that's a player. It's been refinished. It's been different tuners. They've drilled holes, and I paid accordingly for that guitar.
That's right.
Because I knew what it was, but it sounded great because it had the original pickups and original pots and body. So for me, that doesn't have the same sort of thing. But as I looked through that guitar, I found a few things and brought it to the dealer's attention. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't really notice that." And I know them so well, it was not their fault. So.
Yeah,
it was a matter of being really informed, and it's fortunately on the age of the internet, you have a really quick way of getting pretty much into the ballpark on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And finally, be ready to move when you find that guitar.
Yeah. See, I'm not in the vintage game, generally speaking.
And it's a game.
Yeah.
For the guys who are in it, it's a game.
I'm certainly not in a position to be buying like an original Olympic white. It's not my world, you know.
And you don't necessarily want that.
No. So going back to the first point, I knew what I wanted and I knew what was possible for me, you know.
Yeah.
And this isn't about being extremely wealthy and spending lots of money on guitars. I moved 2 or 3 items that I wasn't using very much, that had been gathering dust essentially for several years, and turned them into one guitar that I'm going to play all the time. And so it's I'm pretty sure, you know, if you've been playing for a few years, everybody's got some guitars that they've amassed over the course of it. And I had a good cull, you know, and cleared it out. And so I'm going to turn that into one thing. And as I'd like to say, I try and keep my gear money, you know. So stuff that I've got accumulated, it can be slimmed down into one better item. That's the way I look at it. I try not to pay my bills by selling gear.
Yeah, that's. Oh, I mean, we've all done it, and if you have to do it, you got to do what you got to do. But that stinks because you're never going to get that money back.
Yes.
So something like this guitar, it's a 64. It is all original. I got very fortunate. It was a local guy from around the corner. But to get it, I sold a lot of guitars that I never thought I was going to sell. And so the guitar that you try, this is very important, whether it's a custom shop Strat, which could be great. And not every vintage guitar is a great guitar. If you, as the quote that you once said, not all vintage guitars are great, but the best guitars I happen to have played have been vintage.
Yes.
So I'm in agreement with that. But I have some great custom shop Strats that are amazing. They don't need to be custom shop. So, but when you find a vintage guitar, there sometimes is just the magic going on. And the guitar better blow you away. Like you have to get to that point where I have to have this guitar.
This is what I want to play. You know?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it seems like actually a good decision to get rid of that stuff that's just on the stand in the corner of the room that's been sat there. You're actually turning it into, I view it as inspiration. You know, I'm excited to play this now, and I got it thanks to knowing the right people. I got it to where I really like it. You know, it feels good, it looks good, I'm inspired by it. That was worth, you know, culling this other stuff that was just sitting around 100 times over, actually. Yeah, really, really good decision.
You know, and probably one of the main things, even though it didn't make it to the number one, is these are decisions that we've made. I decided I wanted a vintage guitar. As a result of that, I decided to put some money there as opposed to other things. So people think that like you're making all this money and you have this vintage guitar. It's like, no, I chose not to do A, B, C, D, E, F. Yeah, exactly. In order to have a vintage guitar. So that's a thing. It's not like I got all this money like just buying vintage guitars.
No, we don't drive fancy cars because I want to have a fancy guitar.
Exactly. So it's where I decide what is important to me. Other little quick things too, like don't buy a vintage guitar and expecting it to be an investment. I think that's a bad, although they have been good investments, they are not necessarily a guaranteed investment. The vintage guitars that I own, I bought because I want to play them because they were inspiring, great instruments.
Yeah, and inspiring. And it's the vibe. And, you know, it's like, I want to pick this up. Any guitar that, I'm looking for guitars that I want to pick up. I've been playing 34 years, right?
Yeah.
And I love music still. But I'm not always like as inspired as when I was a kid to reach for the guitar. You know, it changes, and you know, with life comes other things to take care of. So I want a guitar that I can't wait to pick up and play. That's worth it for me to invest a bit more in something that makes me want to pick it up and play it, and that feeds back into my playing. You know,
and it is our careers.
Yes.
So that's another.
It's priorities, isn't it? You know, and this, you know, I made this a priority recently and moved what I needed to move to make it happen, you know?
And the cool thing, like you said before, the guitars that I've moved to get vintage guitars, I don't care about them. I don't even think about them anymore. Because you got this great guitar. They're making new Fenders every day. They're making new Gibsons every day. They're making new PRSs every day. They're not making, you know, 1963?
63
Fenders anymore.
No.
So once again, like it's a priority for us to have some of these guitars. Never go into debt to get a guitar like this.
No, not worth doing that. But
as a friend of mine said once, debt is anti-wealth.
yeah, it is. Yeah. And
So, certain debt, home, things that you got to do. Yes, car, you need to get to work. I understand, but a vintage guitar is not worth something getting into debt over.
not at all. But every few months, I sit and I look at a pile of pedals on a shelf and go, you know what? Time to clear that out. I haven't plugged into that in 6 months. And in terms of gear funds, just selling a few pedals, goes a long way.
Yeah,
it's amazing. You amass these little things, So.
All right, thanks so much. Hope you guys dug this. Once again, I'm Jeff Macron. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you like the channel. It really helps me out quite a bit. Please go check out Matt Schofield Music. I have the links down below to his courses and to his website. And go see him live. Buy CDs.
Come see the real thing.
Yeah, go do it. See you guys. That's not yet.
Sorry.
No. Hey everyone, Jeff Macron here, and today I've got my good friend Matt Schofield with me.
Hello there.
And today we're going to talk about one more time. That just made me laugh. Hello. That made me laugh. Hello there.
Yeah.
That's so funny.